Look at this red disc. It's a gear used on large ships. It weighs more than 10 tons. It was made from scrap iron worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. This factory uses recycled scrap iron as raw material. The workers use an electromagnet to attract the scrap iron. Then they use a crane to put it into the scrap iron bin. This electromagnet can lift up to 5 tons of material. When it's full, they will be transported by crane to the next workshop. This is a furnace for melting steel. The temperature inside the furnace is up to 1650 degrees Celsius. The workers dump all the scrap iron into the furnace. A lot of smoke is produced when melting. The ventilation system will start immediately and suck out all the smoke. The furnace only needs an hour to melt 60 tons of scrap iron. There are a lot of impurities in the molten iron. The workers will extract samples of steel and send them to the laboratory to check their chemical composition. Then they use an ultrasonic oxygen gun to inject high-purity oxygen into the molten iron to reduce the carbon content in the molten iron. This is the key to making high-quality steel. When all the scrap iron is melted, the workers will pour the molten iron into a container. Then they use a crane to lift the container. They add aluminum, nickel, chromium, and manganese inside to make the molten iron meet the required standards. Open the 4 nozzles of the distributor. The melted steel will flow into the furnace, then cool for a few hours to solidify the molten iron. Then use a cutting machine to cut the billet into the required size and mark it with a crayon. Then take out the billet and put it into the furnace. Reheat it to 12 degrees Celsius. Then these billets are placed on the press. Thousands of tons of pressure will shape the billet into a specific shape. Because the billet temperature is too high, iron oxide will form on the surface. So the factory will use a high-pressure water gun to wash off the iron oxide on the surface. After the pressing is over, the billet will be heated again for 1 or 2 days. Finally, remove the rust that was produced during the heating process. The forging of the steel is done. This factory can produce 400,000 tons of steel every year, with an annual output value of 2 billion yuan. It's terrifying.